Welcome to the second episode of F-Zero GX Time Attack History. From this point on, I will assume you have seen the first episode and are aware of the game F-Zero GX. Today, we will be analyzing the world record progression of Mute City Twist Road in the 100% max speed category. Twist Road is the first track of the Ruby Cup, making it the very first choice in Time Attack. Twist Road takes place in the lucrative Mute City and sports a pretty simple design, essentially a figure 8, but with some extra twists and turns expected from an F-Zero game. The track is fairly wide, giving new players plenty of room to avoid walls and practice turning or drifting, making the track very accessible. The oldest known Twist Road record that we know of is 57.809, shown here in this screenshot from the old online leaderboards. No video exists of this time, although we can see that Maki uses Black Bull. In October, Japanese player Faust would lay claim on the new top time on the official internet rankings. This run uses Fat Shark and demonstrates basic strats pushed to their maximum potential. Faust uses quick turns in order to take full control of Fat Shark. Quick turns allow you to keep the maximum amount of speed possible when performing a turn. This makes quick turning the most essential and useful technique in all of GX. Faust also aims for the edge of each of the boost plates, which is another advanced technique. It turns out that hitting the edge of a boost plate will increase the effects by roughly 10%. The remainder of 2003 was a renaissance for GX speed tech. New strategies were being discovered left and right, and players were eager to use them to set new records. American player JKT Speed, a top F-Zero X runner prior to GX's release, as many GX runners were, uses the custom machine Quick Cannon G4 to set a 52.490 on January 1st, 2004. This machine makes the best use of a new glitchy technique known as the Momentum Throttle Slide, or MTS for short, that involves losing grip, turning sideways, and relying on the strafing engine to pull the vehicle forward at insanely high speeds. Quick Cannon's effective MTS made it a big favorite among max speed time attackers, although that came at the cost of being very slippery and hard to handle. JKT's record wouldn't last for long, as on the very same day, Japanese player Mumu surpasses JKT's speed by setting a time of 51.945. This comes after many world record trades between Mumu and JKT Speed. Mumu implements a new strategy known as the MTS into Shift Boost, or MTS ISB. A shift boost is a significant burst of speed that occurs when a vehicle catches air for a short moment. By drifting over a small lump on the first corner at a very high speed, Mumu is going fast enough to lift away from the ground for a short moment, giving him this burst of speed. This technique was an important tool that became the biggest defining characteristic for Twist Road strategies even to today. A last small addition was the inclusion of a rail slide, which is simply an MTS along the wall on the final stretch of the course. Here is a demonstration that showcases the power and speed of an MTS. First, we will see the massive difference in speed between an MTS into Shift Boost versus quick turning. Here is a slow motion reel of an MTS into Shift Boost. Notice how high the speedometer rises when using an MTS. Four days later, Mumu managed to save about 1.1 seconds and push the record down to 50.846. This run uses a very similar strategy as before, but uses a newly discovered suicide finish, saving substantial time on the final lap. Instead of driving straight for the end of the lap and MTS into the wall to get a rail slide, he now MTSs into the wall at 0 health from much further back. This destroys the machine and sends it flying up and forward past the finish line. In April of that year, the world record would just barely be improved upon by Swedish player and F-Zero veteran, Yazo. Yazo used a very similar strategy to Mumu, but is able to clutch out a slightly better run. Here we can see the post made for this run on the world record thread of the MFO forums. MFO stands for Mixer Fix It Online, which is the name of the biggest F-Zero GX leaderboard at the time. By the end of April, another new challenger appeared from Sweden. JK Loser, or JKL for short, joins the fray by setting a new record of 50.288. This record, as well as some others set by JKL during this time, were removed from the MFO leaderboards. This is due to Mr. Fixit thinking that JK Loser was simply a troll trying to make fun of American player JK Speed. This would eventually be resolved, seeing as JKL originated his tag from his initials. JKL uses an MTRS from much further back to finish this run, which depletes his remaining health and sends him flying forward at extremely high speed. This would prove to be the superior suicide finish on Twist Road. JK Loser sets the first sub 50 ever in the max speed category with a time of 49.737 on May 1st, 2004. Another thing to note about this run is the camera setting used. JKL uses the default view, which is uncommon amongst most time attackers. Most players prefer the slightly zoomed out setting.
JK Loser continues to push the record lower, eventually switching to the vehicle Quick Star G4 over Quick Cannon G4, which is only a difference in cockpit. The Maximum Star cockpit is infamous for its rarity, considering it was originally only available at Japan exclusive events around the game's release. Players everywhere would soon obtain these exclusive custom parts with the release of the Action Replay and other cheat code devices.
The record would stay untouched going into the next year, but JKL was far from done. In August of 2005, JKL would return and set a time of 47.999. One interesting note about this run is its use of side attacks. Every Twist Road record up to this point has avoided the use of side attacks, as it was not commonly used in time attack yet. Many players just refuse to use side attacks entirely. The only side attacks that are used in this run are once when exiting an MTS on the first lap. They would eventually be used in many more ways. JKL lowers the record even lower by November 11th to a 46.695, although there is no surviving video of this record. By October of the next year, French player Iowa had started running GX, and eventually he managed to become the max speed time attack champion overall. During this period, Iowa dethrones JKL from the top spot on Twist Road with a time of 46.165. Side attacks are used much more frequently, especially during the first lap. As hinted at before, players are able to use 2 or 3 side attacks to exit an MTS with more speed. This is especially useful on lap 1, as you don't have boost power to rely on. The next day, JKL was able to grind out a new record of 45.767. JKL now uses side attacks to exit every MTS during the first lap, and often chains multiple MTS together with side attacks. Exiting MTSs during boost laps is still handled as it always was, by slide turning your vehicle forward. This is because it is faster this way with the assistance of boost power. It was also the most consistent way of getting the MTS into shift boosts during the boost laps. By January 1st of the next year, JKL was able to push the world record down to 44.605. MTS chaining during the first lap continues to improve, which allows for more precious time save. On top of that, JKL is able to get every MTS into shift boost on both laps 2 and 3. JKL uses one side attack while exiting into the first shift boost in order to make the occurrence of the shift boost more likely. Over 5 years would go by without anybody touching the record until American player Z-Wing appeared in August of 2016. During a stream, Z-Wing gets eerily close to the world record by setting a time of 44.608, only a fraction of a frame from the record. Z-Wing utilizes a newly discovered technique called turbo slide chaining, or TS chaining. To put it simply, TS chaining is the same as MTS chaining, but done with the accelerator on. The main use for this is at the very start of lap 1,
as you can use it to work your way up to regular MTS chaining speeds. This is a particularly heartbreaking run, as the smallest angle or speed difference would have given Z-Wing the world record. This competition would not go unnoticed, as a couple months later, JKL would return to improve the record. JKL also now uses TS chaining at the start of his opening lap and brings the record down to 44.480. JKL is notorious for his dominating playstyle, as he would never let players get too close to the Twist Road record.
JKL continues to optimize his execution and movement going into December of 2016. Although the strategy remains the same, there are countless opportunities for time save through better timed techniques. 2 days later, the record is improved to 44.075. The very same day, the record is improved again to 44.014. 8 days later, JKL had managed to cut an entire second off the record. Despite having a slightly slower opening lap, JKL saves time off laps 2 and 3 by getting tremendous speed from the MTS into shift boosts. On the 28th of that month, JKL's spree would end. He sets a legendary final time of 42.423, which still stands to this day. JKL saves time off lap 1 and 2 in this run. According to JKL, the opening lap was good enough for him, just a couple of tenths of a second away from his best. At the end of lap 2, JKL times his boosts going into the final stretch to get yet another shift boost off a small lump in the track. JKL knew he was on 42 pace, and one mistake would throw it all away.
JKL chooses to skip one boost going into the last refiller, as having too much speed can mess up the timing for the suicide finish. This only cost him about a tenth of a second, so JKL was able to set the new world record. Over 15 years of fierce competition has led to this point, and the record still belongs to JK Loser. His dominance is clear, but who knows what the future may hold. Many players have gotten within range of the record, and JKL could return at any moment. Please stay tuned for part 2 of the video, where we will be taking a look at some notable runs of Twist Road that may not have been the overall 3-lap record at any time. Starting things off is the earliest surviving footage that we have of a max speed run on Twist Road. This is done by American player Midiman, who has been a huge help in the making of this video. In January of 2004, Mumu makes an interesting vehicle switch on Twist Road. Despite having the record with Quick Cannon G4, Mumu switches to Fat Shark because he no longer wanted to use E custom body parts. This is due to some of the inherent advantages custom machines have over the non-custom counterparts. Mumu continues to push his Fat Shark time down to 51.186 on May 1st of that year. This would be considered the non-custom world record for the track, since it is using one of the original F-Zero machines. Fat Shark has a harder time on this track due to its stiffer handling and less potent MTS. This is a common theme with non-custom vehicles, as they are notoriously unbalanced. Fat Shark and Black Bull are far and beyond the rest of the cast. In June of 2006, the non-custom record and fast lap record would be broken by Japanese player Raleigh. Raleigh utilizes exceptional vehicle control and even gets a few of the MTS into shift boosts, which is a very difficult feat to pull off with Fat Shark. This is the first known sub 50 set by a non-custom vehicle in the max speed category. The record would remain with Fat Shark for some time until it became apparent that it would be best to use a superior sliding vehicle. Foxu brings out the Black Bull to beat the record by less than a second. Black Bull has the best MTSing ability among the non-customs, which makes it a great choice for MTS heavy tracks like Twist Road. Black Bull is a heavy vehicle which allows it to get great speed from the MTS into shift boosts. By 2015, a new legendary player had joined the scene and was ready to start setting records. By this time, side attacks are commonly used to push MTS optimization to new heights. American player Super Sanic sets the new non-custom world record in August of that year. A few wall taps on the first lap would leave Sanic unsatisfied with his record as he continued to work on it throughout 2016. By July of 2017, Super Sanic had set a stunning time of 45.661 with Black Bull, which is still the non-custom world record today. Sanic saves time on all 3 laps compared to his previous record, with a very clean opening lap as well.